What might the future hold for Pep Guardiola, now almost halfway through another year at Manchester City? He's got another 2 years following the end of this summer on his existing deal. He doesn't like to break a contract.
Right.
Barcelona, Ali signed a couple of one-year extensions to carry him through to the 4-year stint in the end. But what do you think is his real kind of game plan with Manchester City? Do you think he wants to stick around? Does it have any bearing on the Champions League, what happens there this year?
I think if they achieve Champions League, I think he looks at it and says, well, what else can I do here? But I don't know that that's the way that Guardiola thinks. That's the way that us mortals from the outside say, well, he's won the Premier League. He's won Champions League. What else is he going to do? He just wants to walk away and then that's it. I don't think that that's the way he approaches it. And I don't know that in his mind, the validation of Champions League is as important to him as it is to the rest of us. I think he looks at his job and as his everyday struggle of trying to make his team better, of teaching, of communicating with players, or putting ideas out on the field and making sure those ideas are executed, of competing, of winning everything in training and then winning everything in every competition that they enter. And so that's what drives him. He's won plenty of titles. And yet what you find from him is that drive, that personal drive to show up every day trying to do a job in the best way you can, not because of the title, but because of what that everyday discipline shows about him. What that coming up with players, understanding what his plans are and being able to display that out on the field. I think that gives him more satisfaction than actually raising the trophy in the end. The raising of the trophy is a byproduct of the everyday work. And that's why we see the intensity that we see from him in every game, in every aspect. And that's why he looks worn out at times in press conferences, because he's living and dying with everything that goes on with his players and this club on a daily basis. So that goes back to your initial question. How long would he stay around? I think it's more about the fact of how well he can do his job and how much stress he puts on his body, physically, mentally, and whether it becomes draining. And the moment it becomes draining to the point to where he's struggling to get out of bed to come and figure out a plan that the players can display out on the field, that's when he says, you know what, I need some time off. I think that's what has happened in other places he's been, where he said, you know what, I'm done here, it's getting a little stale, I got to move on.
Yeah, do you think he has the conditions at Manchester City for him not to fall into that trap? Obviously, he felt a little bit curtailed by the noise around Bayern Munich, the politics around Bayern Munich, the sort of the whispers from above that turned into sort of big sirens, the arguments against his style of play at times or his methods. At Barcelona, it was simply a case probably where he felt, well, this is 4 years of absolute success. I'm ready for a new type of challenge because of his philosophy being created and sort of maximised. He's still got a way to go to get that level up at City, hasn't he?
He does, but let's just think about where Manchester City was before Guardiola, and now they have an identity. Now they know who they are. And this is the way we're going to play. And this is the sort of players that we need out on the field. And these are my ideas, and you as players, you go out there and you put it out there the way we want those ideas to be executed. With the level of play, with intensity, with the energy, with the urgency, all those things that we see from Manchester City. Once you achieve that as a manager, the hardest part is to maintain that level. You're going to build it, but then you need to maintain that. And so when you see the greatness of Manchester City last season, in order for them to maintain that over the course of many years, it has become difficult. We've seen that this year. Injuries have played a part, but the level of play hasn't quite been what it was last season, or the season before for that matter. And so it's trying to find that level in which you say, you know what, this is the best we can be, and can we maintain that? And that's an inner struggle for Pep Guardiola that I don't think any of us can understand, because it takes somebody else with a different vision to say, my team is great, and yet I think they can be better. We can achieve more things, and this is how we're going to do it. Now, Manchester City, as a board and as a club, has to be on board with that, because if not, then he will be the first one to say, you know what, All I want to concern myself with is coaching. That's what I like. I like the feel. I like to be out there exchanging ideas with the players and teaching and coaching and doing all the things that make me successful. I don't want to hear all the other nonsense. You bring me players, I want these players, let's put them out there and let's display my ideas out on the field. If we can't do that in an environment in which I'm allowed to work and I have to worry about all sorts of outside noise, then I'm out.
Yeah, speaking of maintaining that level then, a challenge that he's going to have to deal with in terms of coaching is the age of some of these players. A number of Manchester City first-team players, 30 and above, pushing on. Of course, Claudio Bravo, you could argue, is a backup, and at 36 he's still okay at a goalkeeper. David Silva, the last year for him. But key positions, of course, Aguero, none more key than that. Otamendi, we've talked about centre-halves. Fernandinho, of course, who's been a linchpin of that midfield too.
Well, I think they've addressed the Fernandinho issue with Rodri. At least that seems to be the plan. What they haven't addressed is Sergio Aguero. Because you could say, well, they got Gabriel Jesus. Not quite the same player. Not at the same level. Gabriel Jesus can do a job, but cannot be the feature striker. And so that's the position that they really have to address, because Sergio Aguero, at some point, the legs are going to go. He's not going to score the same amount of goals, and now you have to think about a transition, going in a different direction. And they don't have that player in position to step in and do that job. So that's one of those where Manchester City has to go out in the market and see what's available and see what they can go after, projecting that this player is not only going to score the goals now, but he's going to score the goals for 5 years. And it's going to be that feature striker for years to come. That's a difficult one, because you think, okay, well, yeah, this guy really translates, and then you put him out there and it doesn't quite work out. Finding a striker is not an easy thing. That's why a player like Sergio Aguero has been special, because it's not easy to find that sort of player that can give you that productivity for the amount of time that he has. I think the other positions they can address, and it's easier to address, David Silva will be missed, but you seem to believe that, or at least they seem to believe that you got players in place that can take that position. And so I think to some degree they've addressed some of the needs, but the Sergio Aguero need, or who takes that place, I don't think that has been addressed yet, and that's a key position.
Just one final hypothetical for you. Let's say he was not there any longer. How big a job, given what he's built, given the methods in place, how big a job is it for them to maintain the level that he's kept without him?
See, and here's the thing, when people criticize Pep Guardiola and say, well, let's say he doesn't win Champions League with Manchester City. And say, well, they didn't win Champions League. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. Instead of focusing on the things that did happen for Manchester City while he was a manager. And so the next guy is going to come in. It's going to have a difficult time, because you have a set of players that want to do things a certain way, the Guardiola way, and now you're asking them to do a different job. And that guy, whoever he is going to be measured to Guardiola and say, well, Guardiola didn't do it like this, and he won this and he won that. I'm sorry, I thought you told me that he wasn't good enough to win Champions League. And now you're going to measure everybody else to Guardiola, and that's when you'll see the amount of success. When he leaves, people will then miss how good he was. Those that think, well, it's just because he's got good players. It's not just about good players. It's about how those good players fit together and how they're able to execute a game plan. He does that better than most everybody in the world. Pep Guardiola has been outstanding, and regardless whether they win Champions League or not, he has left his mark in Manchester City, and good luck to who comes next.
Yeah, excellent stuff, Ali. So it's all down to really how long the Guardiola ride continues. Manchester City fans will certainly hope he's there for a lot longer. 2.5 years and counting on that deal. They'll want an extension for sure.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.